Time with Tina. I'm glad to see you today. I hope everyone's fine today and you had a blessed day so far. I am shooting in the evening time today, and it's very gloomy out. It was a terrible rainstorm last night, and it's very gloomy out. And so sometimes the gloom of the day can make us feel kind of down. But today we're going to learn about blessing. I don't know if some of you have heard the term too blessed to be stressed. I've heard it. I've actually seen a statue of it that says it. Well, today I'm going to ask you the question: why are you stressed? Why are you too blessed to be stressed? That's what I'm trying to say. This is real time, people. That's what I'm trying to say. Why are you too blessed to be stressed? And it's true, you are blessed. Let me put my glasses on. I see you all so much better when I put my glasses on. But, yeah, let's talk about blessing today. Because we are truly blessed as people of God. And sometimes that may be hard to see. Now, when God blesses people, it is to bring them joy, of course. Of course, God wants to make his people happy. He wants to make everyone on this earth happy. But he especially loves to make his people happy. And it's to prosper you. It's to give you more faith in him. When God blesses us, we just have this tremendous love and faith in him, because maybe we asked for something and he delivered. Sometimes God don't deliver our blessings, and there are reasons why that is. But when he does delivering those blessings that you've been praying for and you've been hoping for, it feels so good inside. It renews your faith. It just helps you to grow and prosper and to feel joy, to know that God heard you and he actually delivered on his blessing. But that's the way we see blessings, as God bringing us joy and prosperity. He's also helping our faith grow by this blessing. He's also answering prayers through blessings. And God sometimes tells us our future promises with blessings. He promises a lot, God. And a lot of those things will happen in the future as long as we continue to be faithful and obey him. He says that we are truly blessed when we do that. And in Matthew 5, verse 7, it talks about blessings. It is the sermon that Jesus did on Mount, what was it? On the Mountain of Olive. Yes, the Mount of Olive. Jesus was up there in the Mountain of Olive, and the crowd of people came to him. His disciples told him, "Look at this crowd." And I remember that. That's in Matthew 5 it begins. But you should read that whole section in Matthew 5. It is so amazing. But that is where Jesus did the Beatitudes. He did a sermon on the Mount. There was this crowd of people, thousands of people, and Jesus did the Beatitude. And so when he did this Beatitude, he was talking to this crowd of people who weren't Christians yet, who might have been Christians later on, but these were people that just wanted to hear Jesus talk. He wanted to hear him speak. And he says blessed a lot. He says, this is what he says: "Blessed are the meek in spirit, blessed are the righteous, blessed are the merciful, blessed are the pure in heart." Whenever I think of pure in heart, I think of children. Children, or anyone that's childlike, they would be someone that's pure in heart. It says the peacemakers, it says. Anyone that's prosecuted. Wow. Consider yourself blessed when you're prosecuted. And people who are poor in spirit, people who are hungering for righteousness, Sometimes I feel like I'm hungry for righteousness. I just love, we see so many people not living the Christian life who say they are. And sometimes I just hunger for the righteous people to come forward, to see more of the people, living their lives for the Lord and being devoted. I hunger for that. I thirst for that. Where are those people? I just hope I'm one of them. But yeah, I look for that. And there are people that are poor in spirit. And I understand those people too, because I have been poor in my spirit, where you're just feeling like you feel this hopelessness, and you're trying to hold on to whatever little faith you can. But you've had so many negative, wrong things happen that your spirit is just feeling let down, but you're still holding on. God still got you in the palm of his hands, but it's just very down at this time, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it is. He's talking to you. He says, be blessed. And so we have to realize that when God blesses us, it's for a reason, And I also want to say something else about blessing, because I think a lot of us can get confused with blessing. That God blesses people in a spiritual way. It's always about the spirit. He might bless you in a way that you may not think it's a blessing, but it is. Now, what some people do, especially those who don't know God or understand blessing very well, if sometimes you can think that this is God blessing me with this new Cadillac or this new sports car. Or maybe you go and gamble and go to the crack table and say, God bless me tonight with $1,000, $1 million, and you just might get it, or you just might get that fancy car you wanted, or, you just might get those materialistic things that you wanted. But then we have to ask ourselves, are those really from God? Because there's someone else at work here. Satan can also give you things that will keep you in this loop of unrighteousness, things that will keep you away from God. Yeah, he'll be happy to give you that $1 million you won at the crap table or gambling. He'll be happy to give it to you because you can now rely on this money rather than God. Yeah. So we have to be mindful, confusing blessings with things that are not good, that may turn out to be very bad for us. And it's Satan at work. Satan can also give you things. With God, his blessings are always spiritual. And sometimes it is not what we think it is or what we think it should be. I think I need a lot of money myself. I have been out of work since COVID, and I haven't worked since. And that's another thing I'm going to share with you about my time, because, I talked about this a lot last year. I had a terrible time last year. And a lot of it had to do financially. A lot of it had to do with my relationship with my husband. And a lot of it had to do with my book and other things, me not being the best physically. You name it, I was going through it. And one day I will talk about all of that, or at least some of it. But when I say that everything went wrong in my life last year. But when I was very down, because when things keep happening, it's hard to see blessings, and that's why I beg the question, why are you too blessed to be stressed? And I understand that perfectly, because last year I was stressed out. I was very stressed out. So stressed that I caused some of my illnesses. I think it did. But it was because I was not seeing the blessings I was giving. Because when I stop now and think about it, when I look at all those things that happened to me, I was thinking, oh, there's nothing good happened to me last year. It's a terrible year. But there was things that happened last year that was great. Despite me going through all of this, never having any money or never doing the things I would have liked to have done, giving my daughter what I would have liked to give her, and all those things, I was blessed. My daughter was safe. She was happy. She got all her needs met. I got all my needs met. Sometimes I would be down to minus $10 in the bank account. I'm telling you, that happened a lot. But then, suddenly I would get some money coming from somewhere. Or, I was ill. A lot of times I was ill. Couldn't do a lot. Somehow, I had the strength to do them. I needed a ride somewhere. Somehow I got a ride. Things like that. I missed that when I was going through this terrible time in my life. I missed these simple blessings. And you may have too when you're going through a lot of hardships in your life. You may have missed those simple blessings. Whether you're a Christian or not, God blesses all of us. It's very subtle. It could be a small thing, like maybe it didn't rain when you were having an outdoor party or event. Maybe it didn't rain that day. It said it was going to rain in the news and you're all worried about it, but it didn't rain. That's a blessing. And people could probably miss that blessing. Or you were just somebody doing a nice deed for you. Times when you didn't have enough money at the grocery store for all these groceries you bought. You were just off maybe a few times. Maybe somebody paid for the rest of your groceries. That's a blessing. Or maybe it could be something big that you realized it was a blessing. I remember years ago when I was still living in the projects. I think I was 9/11. I'm sure everybody remembers that. I had a neighbor upstairs from me who worked at the World Trade Center on one of the high floors. I forgot what floors, but she worked on one of the high floors. And she said she just called out sick that day. And maybe a half hour before the plane crashed into the World Trade Center, she just called out sick that day. She was feeling very ill and couldn't go to work, and she called out sick that day. And she was telling us all this story, that she just didn't go to work that day, and that was the day the plane crashed into 9/11. I was like, yeah, that was a big blessing. I used to work at 3 World Trade. They had 2 buildings. I used to work at one of the smaller buildings around there. The first time we were attacked, I think it was in the 90s. I was very young. I was working there. I was working on the 5th floor. And I remember when that happened, we all had to evacuate the building. I mean, it was so early in the day. It might have been 9 or 10 o'clock. We had to evacuate the building. But I was on the 5th floor. I didn't think much of it. But now that I think about it, I was blessed. My crew, my staff, we were all safe and sound. We got out quickly, and I was blessed. I was blessed for another reason, because part of the thing that did get hit very hard was the subway line that used to take me home. I think back and I remember how I got off that same subway platform. And I had to find a different way home. I think I took the ferry home. But I had to find a different way home because that was completely destroyed. And when I think about, hey, I was just on there maybe a couple of hours beforehand. I was a young Christian, and I think I just was only a Christian a couple of years, but I was a young Christian, and I did not see that blessing. But now I would probably, yeah, that was a blessing. And it wasn't as bad as 9/11. There was only a few people that passed away, but not as bad as 9/11. But wow. And I wasn't working there 9/11. I was actually working on Fifth Avenue at this law firm. But so I was still in the city, and I didn't even know how bad things were. You smelled smoke. You see people wearing white. I mean, they were covered in white dust. And you see smoke in the air. You see jets flying ahead. And I didn't even know how terrible 9/11 was till I got home. And back then we had these answering machines. For you young people who don't know, we had answering machines back then. I got 95 calls because people knew I worked in the city. And some of them thought I still worked at the World Trade Center, but I moved to a different job. But I got 95 calls. Most of them were from my mother, of course, but I got calls from people I haven't heard from in years. I'm like, what is going on here? I did not know how bad it was till I watched television and saw how terrible it was. And that was another blessing of mine. Those are small, those are small things. People wouldn't think of it as a big deal, but now that I understand the meaning of blessings, it's a big deal. Things like that are a big deal. Maybe you were going to go to a concert and you didn't go. Maybe it was one of those concerts where somebody was trying to shoot. Nowadays, people are just walking in and shooting in all kinds of places, all kinds of venues and things, and tragedy happens all the time. And maybe you just miss being a part of those tragedies. Those are really big blessings. But like I said, there's also small blessings. One of the things I always am blessed for is some good coffee. I love coffee. But sometimes when I go out, the coffee doesn't taste great to me. And I must have some good coffee. I will worship the day. Some good, I don't know if you hear that beeping. There's some beeping going on outside, but I hope you don't hear it. But yeah, good coffee is a blessing to me. But you gotta find those blessings. You know what I mean? The stress of life, the problems of life, can sometimes make you miss those blessings that God has granted you. Because, like I said, there's many ways that God blesses us. He blesses us with a promising future. He blesses us just to make us happy. Maybe we've been so miserable. Hey, let me do this for you. I'm going to do this for you just to put a smile on your face. God is like that. We have a God that is like that. And maybe He blesses us to prosper us, to give us faith, because when God grants us what we want, it does rises our faith. And as I said, when I was going through all this trauma last year, I had missed the blessing. And I see it now. I see it now, those blessings. And I was blessed a lot. But I missed it because I was so focused on the trauma I was going through, the illness I was going through, the problems I was going through, the struggles of trying to make ends meet, and all this stuff. And I missed the blessings. But I'm thankful now that I see it. And I hope you know too that if you are struggling and going through things, remember your blessings. You are probably blessed in more ways than one. And I hope that you realize that. The Bible says that Christians, actually in that whole thing in Matthew 5, that Actually, all of Matthew 5 is really a wonderful thing to read, to know blessings. But all that in Matthew 5, it talks about how we are the salt of the earth. And I think another scripture talks about how we are the light of the world. God sees us as special people, Christians. You know, even though we go through more struggles than anyone else, we do. We are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. That means we're very special. I didn't say that. The Bible said that. But we are very special people. And God blesses all of us, everyone He blesses. But He looks at His people and goes, you know what? My blessings are spiritual. They're forever. They're to bring you joy. They're to bring you prosperity. They're to help you to trust me even more. But they're also for promising future. They're also to let you know I'm answering your prayers. I'm listening to you. And I'm going to bless your life. But when times are stressed out, you've got to remember the blessings you received, the ones you know about. And also, remember, know that even when you're going through these struggles, that you are being blessed somehow. You got to look deep, because sometimes these struggles we go through can just take over our minds and just leave us down and doubting and fearing. But you realize, you know, I'm still here. I'm still hanging in there. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. And God does provide you with, if you're going through financial trouble, God still provides for you. He still keeps your roof over your head and food to eat. And sometimes He may give you something to put a smile on your face. Yeah. We got to remember our blessings all the time. And if you want to know if you're blessed, keep God's commandments. The only way you know that you are any of these people that in the Bible, the meek, the righteous, the pure-hearted, the merciful, it sounds like all the people that are truly blessed are the ones that are, you know, going through something, the persecuted, the poor in spirit, you know. Sounds like those people are the ones that are struggling. He said you're going to be blessed, or you are blessed. So He knows. He knows that we don't find blessings in the struggles we go through. But we have to look for it. It is there. So I hope you enjoy my little tidbit. You know, and the month of February is the month of love. You know. And I have 4 special videos I want to do about love. And I hope you'll learn from them. So I will see you next week. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye-bye.